What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Extreme Health Radio. This is going to be a fun show. We've got Dr. Lita Lee on the line today, which is going to be a great discussion about the thyroid and enzymes and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you again for joining us. My name is Justin, and this is ExtremeHealthRadio.com. We're doing about 3 shows a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're broadcasting worldwide from Southern California. So thank you again for joining us. Please feel free to follow us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/extremehealthradio. And thank you to Mr. Mike Adams from naturalnewsradio.com. We really appreciate him having us on his network. And today, for reference, is Friday, November 16th, 2012. And this is episode number 36. So you can find the show at extremehealthradio.com/36. And you'll find the transcription, show notes, and any reference materials that the guest mentions on that show page. And if you have any questions for our guest or for me, just email them to justin@extremehealthradio.com, and I will get right back to you. Or you could call our voicemail hotmail line, which is 949-391-7363. And if you leave a message, we'll play it to our guest on the air. I want to let you know this show is brought to you by the trusty, handy Vitamix blender. Such a great machine, and if you're in the market to buy one, consider buying it through us. We'll get a little commission and you'll get free shipping. It's really a great machine. You can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix. Before I introduce Dr. Lita Lee, I would like to just tell you a little bit about our upcoming show schedule. On Monday, we've got Leanna Warner-Gray, and she put together the Earth Diet, and she overcame cancer naturally, which is always an amazing thing to do. So tune into that show if you know anyone who has cancer. And next Wednesday, we have Dr. William Wong talking about enzymes again and other hormone-related issues. And we've got on Friday, Jeff Lowenfels, and he does a lot of work with bacteria and the gut and all of that kind of good stuff, fermented foods. So tune into that next Friday. And I wanted to let you know that today we have Dr. Lita Lee. This is going to be a great show. I'm really excited about this one. She's a chemist and an enzyme therapist, a nutritionist, an author, a lecturer, and she's been in private practice since 1984. And she published her book, The Enzyme Cure, and that covers over 11 years of research. And she also has another book called The Radiation Protection Manual, and she does lots of research and sees people and has a website called LitaLee.com. So thank you very much, Lita, for joining us. I believe you're in Oregon today. Is that right?
Yes, Portland.
Portland, Oregon. You staying warm?
Brr. I just put on a sweater.
That's great. So,
by the way, Justin, I just in June or July, I published an ebook called Thyroid and Enzyme Nutrition, and it covers the first book, Enzyme Cure, plus 11 years of research, and it's an ebook.
And so that's available on your website as well?
Well, on Amazon.
On Amazon. Oh, great. So that was published in July, and people can go to Amazon and get that.
And it's not expensive.
Yeah, the ebooks are a little bit less expensive, aren't they?
Oh, it's like $7 or $8. I don't know. I don't keep track.
Wow, you let other people do that, right?
Yes.
So you do a lot of work with the pro-thyroid diet, and I believe you're a fan of Dr. Ray Peat.
Yes, he's a total genius. He's the only one that can answer my questions. Oh. And you should go to his website, which is www.raypeat.com, and it's RAYPEAT. He has many articles.
Okay, yeah, I've been on his website, and I was actually introduced to him by a recent guest we had, Danny Roddy, who is a huge Ray Peat fan, and he's been into his work. And now Ray Peat is not very popular amongst a lot of the traditional kind of movement and the dietary principles, like the paleo diet and the raw food diet and things like that. He's not very looked upon well, from what I'm.
Neither am I.
Well, that's great. I mean, we're looking to push the envelope here. So, yeah. So he does a lot of work with the thyroid. Dr. Ray Peat does, doesn't he? Yes.
Well, he specializes in hormonal balancing and things like that, and he's got a lot of books and stuff.
Yeah, so you
7 books and a newsletter and stuff like that.
Wow, so you said recently that he's the only one that can sort of answer all of your questions.
Right, and he doesn't read ghostwriters. That's the main reason.
Because there's a lot
Most stuff you read online is written by ghostwriters.
Wow.
It's a polite way of saying advertising.
Right.
Not telling the truth.
Our guest Danny Roddy had he said that he thinks that Dr. Pete is about 100 years ahead of everybody else in terms of his understanding of biochemistry and all of that.
Well, he's definitely a genius.
Wow. So what kinds of things does he say about the thyroid and things like that are so cutting edge?
Well, I can't. I really don't want to explain what he says, but I can tell you what I say.
Right.
I don't want to misinterpret him. But anyway, I developed a diet that I call the pro-thyroid diet, and it's total avoidance of all anti-thyroid foods, and there's dozens of them, and it's certainly not a vegan diet. So it's based upon organic, whole foods with animal protein, fruits, and fruit juices. The only two fruit juices I don't recommend are apple juice and grapefruit juice. And unfortunately, if you go and buy a jar of fruit juice in a blend, usually the first ingredient is apple juice. Oh. And apple juice is not healthy. It's full of pectin, which feeds bowel bacteria. And grapefruit juice is estrogenic.
Wow.
So I recommend orange juice. Now, there's a lot of bad flack on orange juice. A lot of commercial orange juice doesn't have any orange in it. It's just all flavoring. So if I tell a person, if you can't squeeze your own, be sure to get organic orange juice.
So what are some of the things that are wrong with the apple juice aside from the pectin? Is there anything else that's wrong with that, or is it?
Pectin's bad enough.
Okay.
You don't want to eat pectin.
Wow.
I mean, it feeds bowel bacteria. And grapefruit juice is estrogenic, much more so than orange juice.
You don't recommend vegetable juice as much for that reason either?
No, not at all. Because vegetables are the source of, I call them PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, omega-3 and 6 oils. And they're toxic, they suppress the immune system, and the thyroid gland, they cause lots of problems. So I don't recommend vegetable juices. So eat a carrot, don't drink carrot juice.
So what are the polyunsaturated fatty acids? How are they in the vegetables?
Well, they're in all vegetables. That's where they come from. And I'm just, again, sucking the juice out of a carrot.
Right, because it just basically concentrates that, right? And then...
Yes, and there's no protection from the mother fiber. So I'm not against vegetables, but I emphasize fruits and fruit juices. They have no PUFAs. There's only two foods that have no PUFAs, and one of them is well, not just oranges, but all fruits. And then also potatoes. I don't mean sweet potatoes. They have no PUFAs either.
So sweet potatoes and regular potatoes are okay?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, sweet potatoes have a lot of minerals. Is that right?
Well, they're very nutritious.
Okay.
Not just minerals, but other things, too. And white potatoes they're different, but both are very nourishing.
So do you find that a lot of people, like what percentage of the people do you think that you see would have something wrong with their thyroid?
All of them.
All of them.
Yep. I have 3,000 clients, and they're all taking thyroid glandular.
That's just crazy. What's causing people to have such a bad issue with their thyroid? I guess there's many reasons, right? There's
many reasons. Anti-thyroid foods, veganism, microwaving. I mean, anything you do to a food that ruins it also ruins your immune system. And, for example, fluoride really hinders thyroid function. And most people don't even know that you can't remove fluoride with a carbon filter. Every time I get a client, I have clients worldwide. I look up their city and their country, find out what's in their water, because they don't know. And a lot of them think that carbon will remove fluoride. It won't.
Wow, I don't even know where to go. So the thyroid, having a thyroid that's not working correctly can apparently affect tons of different things in the body and give people all kinds of different symptoms, right? Yeah.
There's dozens of symptoms. The thyroid is very important in the immune system. So if a person is low thyroid, then they become hyperadrenic because the adrenal glands take over to, keep you upright. And that's not a good thing. So all low thyroid people also have adrenal exhaustion. And the only way to fix that is with thyroid. Adrenal glandulars and pituitary glandulars are not healthy. It's like kicking a dead horse.
Yeah.
So this is a worldwide problem. I know that because I have people from all over the world, and to the extent they eat the stuff we eat, they have the same health problems. So I don't think health problems are indigenous. It's hand-to-mouth disease.
Right.
What you put in your mouth.
So with the people that you see, are you able to get people off of their desiccated thyroid and the medications they're taking?
Well, I consider thyroid a food that we used to eat. In the olden days, before we took the skin and the bones out of the chicken, we eat the whole chicken, so we got all the glands.
Okay.
So I consider a glandular a food that we used to eat.
Okay. So you're talking about the medication that people take. Well, that wouldn't be a food, would it?
Well, are you talking about Synthroid?
Yeah.
Well, Synthroid's a drug that women can't even convert T4 to T3 because they're estrogen dominant.
Okay.
Now, I'm talking about foods. Thyroid glandular is a food.
Okay. So,
or I wouldn't be able to sell it.
Yeah. Wow. So
and I'm not allowed to sell drugs, nor would I, even if I was allowed.
So do you get any issues, flack from the powers that be, I guess you would call them, for the work that you do?
They've already sued me once.
Yeah, not surprising, because if you're getting people off medication or you're doing the kind of work you're doing.
No, I don't do that. I don't even talk about drugs. The only thing I do is tell them the side effects. But I'm not allowed to say, don't take this or take that drug, nor would I. But the thing is, if you get healthy, they dump their drugs, but they have to do it through their doctors. I can't say, don't take this drug.
Wow,
But if you're healthy, you don't need drugs.
Could you test your temperature in the morning to test your thyroid, or is it just safe to say that everyone's got a thyroid that's not working correctly?
Well, this is a very complex subject. It took me years to write this ebook on thyroid and enzyme nutrition. But basically, the temperatures, you can have a low temperature and a high pulse and be low thyroid. You can also have a high temperature and a low pulse and be low thyroid. Because when people are low thyroid, they overproduce cortisol, and they overproduce adrenaline, they overproduce prolactin and estrogen. Those cause all the diseases of aging. Wow. Like, for example, adrenaline causes hypertension, and it can cause heart problems, things like that. Cortisol can cause glaucoma, it can cause seizures, it can cause diabetes. Estrogen causes everything.
Yeah.
And I'm very much against any type of estrogen. And see, when people get their estrogen levels measured, that number does not include the dozens of estrogenic supplements or substances, like fluoride, for example. Anything that lowers the thyroid is estrogenic. So I just don't. None of my clients have good thyroid function, but it's also diet related. For example, the vegan diet is the least healthy because there's no protein, and most of the substances in your body are made from pre-digested protein. So you need to eat a whole foods organic diet that has animal protein, fruits, fruit juices, things like that, and you need to digest it. Doesn't do any good to eat good food if you can't digest it.
Wow. So the thyroid is sort of the master switch for the hormones and all of that.
Right. That's correct. And it's really the only... I use thyroid. I also use natural progesterone made by Dr. Ray Peat, and I use pregnenolone. Because if you're low in thyroid, you don't make enough progesterone or pregnenolone. And all female problems are caused by low thyroid function, which is controlled by diet, even stress, even the weather. Your thyroid is worse in the winter than it is in the summer. Any type of stress. Body doesn't distinguish what kind of stress it is. It can be emotional, mental, physical, spiritual.
So it
lowers thyroid function.
It lowers thyroid function. Wow. All right. So we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're with Dr. Lita Lee. Her website is litalee.com, LITALEE.com. So make sure to check out her work. She's got a lot of great stuff on there, and we'll be right back. I do a lot of weightlifting and lifting heavy weights at the gym, and I love it. But there's also another side to working out, which actually helps you increase the energy in your body. As you know, in our culture, just about everything is a stress to our body. It depletes us of life force energy and our energy in general, whether it's, coworkers or getting to work or dealing with difficult family members, things like that. All of these things cause stress and energy depletion in our body. And something like Qigong is a really great way to help cultivate your inner energy. And it's been practiced by people in the East for thousands of years. It's put together by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar. You can find it at extremehealthradio.com/Qigong, which is Qigong. And it's called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. And I highly recommend getting this product. It comes as a physical product to your house with really great DVDs and workbooks on how to do this ancient art of cultivating your inner energy and building that core energy of your body. And it's been practiced, like I said, for thousands of years. So I highly, highly recommend checking it out. If nothing else, just go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong, Qigong, and get on their mailing list because they'll send you lots of free information as well. So check out Peter Ragnar. He looks amazing for how old he is. He's been doing this for like 60 years or something. It's really an amazing product. So check it out, extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. All right, we are with Dr. Lita Lee from litalee.com. So I wanted to ask you about more about the PUFAs, the polyunsaturated fatty acids. A lot of nuts and seeds contain these, or do all nuts and seeds contain these?
I do not recommend. These are the worst starches. Seeds, nuts, nut butters, beans, except for green, wheat, rye, and barley are high gluten and high PUFA. So I don't recommend any of those. And that is hard for a vegan to take because they think they have protein, but they have more toxins than protein.
So the nut butters is kind of like a juice in a sense. It's kind of a concentrate because you could eat a lot more nut butter than you could eat the nuts probably. So it's kind of more concentrated.
Right. They're just not healthy. I mean, I don't pick my cashews out of my Thai food, but the lowest PUFA nuts are macadamia. They have 3%, and then I think cashews have 6%. But like almonds have 26% PUFAs.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So
I looked up the oils in these nuts, and they're just not healthy.
I'm sorry, that would mean that, obviously like doing the nut milks that a lot of people do, that would also be bad for you too.
I can't believe that people call nuts milk. Milk comes from a breast. It doesn't come from a nut. Just because it's white doesn't mean it's milk.
Yeah, wow. So what?
I believe in organic milk, especially raw.
Yeah, if you can get it, right?
There's quite a few states that sell raw milk. I can get it here, but it comes from Washington.
Yeah. So now with the polyunsaturated fatty acids, what do they do? Do they only affect the thyroid, or do they affect tons of different things in your body? And if so, how do they affect the thyroid? Like, what do they do inside the body?
Well, their thyroid's suppressive. They suppress thyroid function. And there goes your immune system. So people, to the extent they eat these polyunsaturated fatty acids, they're going to have health problems. And it takes 4 years to get rid of them. But if you eat coconut oil, which is the oil I recommend for eating, I recommend olive oil and butter, but not for cooking. If you eat coconut oil, it will partially protect you from the PUFAs.
Coconut oil, and just eating,
yes.
Cooking with it, or eating it straight, or whatever.
Well, however you want to do, you can even make ice cream with it. Yeah. It's in my recipe book. Coconut ice cream.
I bet that's good. And so
it is.
Is that the same thing with the coconut? Because I have the coconut oil and I also have the coconut butter. Do they both?
There's coconut. Okay, there's oil, there's butter, there's like milk. Coconut milk is what I was trying to say. So they're all very good. Coconut products are the healthiest products because they're saturated. And most people are told don't eat saturated fats. But those are the healthy ones. Now,
saturated fats, aren't they the fats that are more solid at room temperature?
Well, coconut oil melts at 75 degrees, so.
Okay. Now, wouldn't coconut oil be considered not a whole food? Because isn't that like the juice of the fat of a coconut?
No, you can suck the juice out of the coconut.
Okay.
There's many ways to do it, but it's a very, very good and healthy saturated fat. Dr. Bruce Fife wrote 11 books on coconut products.
He's like the coconut god, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the Pied Piper of coconut. 11 books. They're not all on coconut per se, like he wrote one on saturated fat is good for you.
So you recommend cooking with coconut oil and then eating butter, and you said olive oil is okay?
Yes, but not to cook with.
Not to cook with.
I put olive oil on my salad, butter on my crackers, and I cook with coconut oil exclusively. And you can get, there's many brands of coconut oil. I like Aloha Nu. It's hard to get. So recently I've been using Wilderness Naturals. But you can also get, some people tell me I don't like the taste. Well, you can get expeller pressed coconut oil that has no taste at all. And the neat thing is I get a gallon at a time. You don't even have to refrigerate it.
Wow. I love the taste of it myself.
I do too.
Yeah, it's great. So the olive oil, not to cook with it, is that because it has like a lower flash point and it can't resist the heat as well as coconut oil can?
Well, it's partly unsaturated for one thing. And butter turns black. You can burn butter, so I'm not against olive oil or butter, but I think people should cook with coconut oil. And
speaking of cooking, do you recommend offhand any cookware that's safe? Because, there's a lot of issues with people cooking with cookware that's got, metal in it or, I don't know, all kinds of toxic stuff.
Well, stainless steel is okay, and I don't use Teflon. And also glass is okay. There's a company that makes glass cookware that you can use.
Okay. I think I remember a glass cookware called Cymex or something like that.
There's another older brand, too, and I have lots of things like that. And also, there are some safe cookwares where they put an enamel coating over the metal, which is usually aluminum, and that's safe, too, and I have some of those.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's enameled.
I've heard good things about the La Creuset. I've never tried that, but it's very expensive.
The what?
The La Creuset cookware. I'm not sure if you've heard.
What? Yeah, but what's the material in it?
I don't know. I know it's recommended by a lot of the health people in the health world. I don't know what it's made of, so I don't have it, but I hear it's very expensive and it's really good quality stuff. But
I'll Google it.
Yeah, because that's an issue, with people cooking at that high heat and all that stuff. So.
Well, see, I don't cook at high heat at all. Everything I cook is at low heat.
So when you eat, little bits of meat, how do you cook that? Is there a certain way you cook it every time, or?
Well, like if I eat a hamburger, I cook it. I like rare meat, and I always get organic, of course. But I'm not really much of a steak person. But I love chili, and I love fish, and I love dairy and cheese. Wow, chickens are hard to get because even if they're pastured and free range, they're usually fed soy. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to get a pastured soy-free chicken and soy-free eggs, but I can get the soy-free eggs. And there is a soy-free chicken farm here, so I can get that too.
So do you get most of your eggs and meat and stuff like that from local farmers and all of that?
Well, we have a local health food store where they buy from local farmers, so it's really nice.
Yeah, because eggs are tough to make sure the chickens are being fed correctly, and even if people know what they're doing, sometimes they're feeding them bad stuff, and that's a hard one to get right.
Right. You can get soy-free chicken feed though, organic soy-free chicken feed. Soy-free chicken feed.
Yeah, that's something to ask because we have a local guy that we got our eggs from here, and it's tough to buy them at the store. You have no idea where they're coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in Portland, I can tell you where they come from because they put the labels on them.
So with the estrogen, I've heard recently that eating a raw carrot, like making a little carrot salad out of just a raw carrot, I've heard that has some beneficial effects in terms of reducing the amount of estrogen in your body. Have you heard that as well, or does that?
Well, Ray Peat said that carrots suck estrogen from the colon. so carrots are great. I eat them every day.
Wow, that's great. Now, I used to eat carrots with my almond butter, but I guess that's a thing of the past now. That's not going to be happening today.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So you do a lot of work. Now, you have a book called The Enzyme Cure, and you do a lot of work with enzymes. And so when people come in to see you and they have a bad thyroid that's not working correctly, do you focus on the thyroid first, or do you put them on a protocol with the enzymes as well as working with their
Everything.
Thyroid? Everything.
Yeah, and I see very few people. My clients, as I said, are worldwide. And it's amazing. To the extent they eat what we eat, they have the same health problems.
What's that?
So, to the extent that they eat what Americans eat, they have the same health problems. So, it's not indigenous. It's what they eat.
Wow. So, what are some of the worst foods that people eat out there, in your opinion?
GMOs,
Yeah.
non-organic, and then low protein, and then the seeds, the nuts, the nut butters, the beans, except green wheat, rye, and barley are the worst starches, and unfortunately, that's what most vegans eat. I would say anything that's not organic is not good. But my pro-thyroid diet it's quite varied because it has everything in it that's organic. Protein and fruits and fruit juices and vegetables and stuff like that. And I have a pro-thyroid diet summary, and every time I do a radio show, I offer that free, by email.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still getting requests for that.
Is that part
Maybe
of...
from the last show I did with you. I don't know. I do a newsletter 4 times a year.
Okay.
But I give this diet to anyone who wants it.
Oh, wow.
There's 3 pages involved. There's the diet summary, and then there's healthy diet rules, and then there's a list of anti-thyroid foods, which a lot of people eat, but they don't know they're eating anti-thyroid foods.
Now, is this something that's available on your website, or would they have to email you to
They'd
get
have
that?
to email me.
Oh, okay. And you just send it right on over to them.
Yep, I just whack it over, yep.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Wow. So according to all your research and everything over the years, what are your thoughts about, so many people eating these breads with the glutens, and I guess breads would be one of the top foods that would be not so good.
Well, wheat, rye, and barley.
Yeah.
Wheat's the worst. It's the first genetically engineered attempt. They cross two parent hybrids, hybridized 2 parent strains. So if a person has to eat bread, I recommend heirloom grains like spelt, quinoa, amaranth, kamut, things like that. And my husband likes bread, so I get sprouted, fat-free spelt bread for him.
Okay, and that tastes good. I've never tried that, but I'm sure it tastes good.
Oh, it's really good. I don't think wheat has any taste at all. Of course, I don't eat bread, but if you like bread, then you should get the heirloom grains, and you can get spelt spaghetti and things like that, quinoa, corn, pasta.
Uh-huh.
So when we cook spaghetti, we never use wheat.
Yeah, it's so damaging, and not to mention, aside from the gluten, isn't there a lot of bromides in white flour and all that?
I don't recommend white flour.
Yeah.
I don't recommend chemical foods.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I've had people turn their lives around just by switching to organic whole foods and the pro-thyroid diet and digesting with enzymes.
Right.
You have to digest what you eat. I know a lot of organic people who are sick because they can't digest what they eat.
And they can't digest it because their colons are all gummed up from their previous diets, or they're damaged maybe to the...
It's plant enzymes.
Okay.
If you don't have enough... See, people eat cooked foods. And there are some raw foods that are not healthy, like the seeds and nuts, things like that. Mm-hmm. And raw cruciferous is unhealthy. But everybody needs enzymes to digest their food. So plant enzymes can turn a life around. And I have a way of testing for the enzyme needs. I do a 24-hour urine test. It's not a medical test. It was developed by Dr. Howard Loomis, and he's the source of my enzymes. And I get these urine kits. It's a 24-hour urine, but you put it in a little 2-ounce plastic bottle and then send it to me. And I get them from all over the world. I just got a kit from Singapore. And also it has blue ice, so it's usually cold.
So you can tell from the urine all kinds of different things as far as how much enzymes people have in their blood and all of that.
No, it's not in the blood. It's in the urine. The blood is the last thing that goes. That's why I do the urine test.
Okay.
And this urine test determines enzyme and nutritional deficiencies. There's a colon toxicity test. There's an allergy pattern. There's minerals. Mm-hmm. Lots of stuff. It's like a psychic reading,
wow.
Which I've been accused of before.
Wow. So now with the enzymes and people eating just traditional foods, whatever their diet is, these enzymes are they produced by your pancreas? Is that where they come from?
There are 22 pancreatic enzymes elaborated in the pancreas, but they don't work in the stomach. Okay. So they don't improve digestion. They work in the small intestine and in the blood.
Okay.
Plant enzymes work everywhere. That's the secret. They work in the mouth, in the stomach, in the colon, everywhere.
Wow. So they don't get eaten up by the stomach acid and all of that?
Oh, no.
Okay.
The pH range of the stomach is 3 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
And every enzyme has a pH, optimum pH where it does work.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's an order of digestion, and the hardest things to digest are the fats.
Okay.
And, of course, people eat all those horrible fats.
Wow.
That's why I like coconut oil.
So by taking the enzymes, people can really save a lot of the functions and organs in their body from having to do so much work. Is that kind of the idea?
Well, when you digest food, you get nourished. If you don't digest food, nothing gets nourished, period. That's why digestion is so important.
So just because something passes through you doesn't necessarily mean you digested that?
No, usually not.
Yeah.
And I can tell the extent of the digestive problem by looking at this urine test. It's really quite a neat test.
Wow, so you said it tests all kinds of different things like your colon health as well as...
Yes. Yep. Indican is produced from poor digestion, and the higher the indican, the worse the health problems. And then I test for what they can't digest.
Okay.
You know, is it fats? Is it protein? Is it sugar? Is it everything?
Uh-huh.
And then I do a 14-page health history, and it really nails them to the wall because they can't get away with anything. I ask, what do you eat? Is it organic? How much? Stuff like that. This is part of the 14-page health history. And then I do a consultation with the person. And during that consultation, I prioritize. They may need 20 enzymes, but I hardly ever use more than 6.
Okay.
Sometimes I do. But I talk to the person, and then we develop a enzyme program and hormonal balancing, too.
Wow. Golly, so that sounds great. So if people want to contact you, they can just contact you through your website and sign up for that?
Yeah, they can call my office.
Okay.
I think it's on the website. I don't know. I never go there. I hope it's on the website.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
They can Google me, too.
Yeah, LitaLee.com. So we have to take a quick break. We are with Lita Lee, and her website is LitaLee.com. And we'll be right back after this break. Hey guys, hopefully you're enjoying the interview so far. I've been so hot on rebounding lately, and I just love it. You know, I do it at the gym, and people just look at me crazy, but rebounding is one of the most healthy exercises you could ever do. It tones and works out every muscle in your body, even your eyes, and every cell in the body is exercised by the up and down motion of jumping on a mini trampoline. And we feel like we've got the best rebounder on the market. It's called the Bellicon. You can find it at extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. It is got a 5-year warranty on the frame and mat, and there's a 10-day money-back guarantee, so you can just ship it back if you don't like it. But it's really the Rolls-Royce of rebounding, and if you listen to any of the health experts, it's the best way to detoxify your lymphatic system. And your lymphatic system is responsible for, among many things, but it stores poisons and toxins in your body, and it's one of the best exercises that you can do to drain your lymphatic system. And a lot of people do it if they have cancer. They'll rebound with oxygen, and it's one of the most therapeutic and best exercises you could ever do. It works out every single muscle in your body, every single cell in your body. It's just phenomenal. So check it out at extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. Okay, we are with Lita Lee, Dr. Lita Lee, and I just wanted to ask you, on your website you mentioned that there's about, about 36 different health conditions that are linked to enzyme deficiencies. So it's kind of like the thyroid in the sense that it starts a cascade of problems. Right,
so you need the enzymes to even make the thyroid hormone from digested protein. So yeah, there's lots of health conditions. Probably all health conditions, Yeah. But there's other causes too, like, people take toxic drugs and they microwave their food and they eat GMOs and they're stressed out and there's dozens of things. But anything you don't eat produces a health problem. Or you don't digest produces a health problem.
Because that would be considered, it would just cause a reaction in your blood maybe to that substance?
Well, it's in the whole body. It's organ specific. It's not just the blood.
Okay. So there are different types of enzymes as well, right? There's the pancreatic enzymes and then digestion. There's different types, right?
Right. There's plant enzymes, and that's what I use.
Okay.
And why do I use them? Because they work in the stomach. Pancreatic enzymes do not work in the stomach, so they don't facilitate digestion. They work in the colon and in the blood. And then, and there's 22 enzymes elaborated by the pancreas. So plant enzymes are really the key to good health.
Okay.
Eating good foods, organic foods, and digesting them.
So what happens, what is the pancreas's job to produce enzymes or is its job to do something else, but we sort of force it to produce enzymes because we're eating such a bad diet?
You can't force the body to do anything. It elaborates the enzymes. I don't know where they're made. Okay. But it's not just the blood, it's everything in the body. That's why there's so many health conditions. Whether you sneeze or are constipated or have asthma, there's an enzyme link to all health problems.
I've heard that the enzymes are involved in every cellular interaction and all of that.
That's right. Metabolic enzymes, for example. When you digest organic foods, your body makes metabolic enzymes.
Wow, and so that would obviously happen if someone has low enzymes, maybe they can't heal fast from a cold or from a wound, or I'm sure it's just on and on.
Right. Yep, there's every condition you can think of.
Wow. So these things are just critical for people's health. And so on your test that you give, people can find out how deficient they are in these enzymes.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And how toxic their colon is and what their electrolyte status is and an allergy pattern. Yeah, it really tells a lot. The blood doesn't tell much because only disease shows up in the blood. So I can't really predict much. I do test for cholesterol because a lot of people have low cholesterol. And a lot of people think they have high cholesterol, but they don't. I like to see a cholesterol of 200 or above. Okay. And then I always look for the TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. I don't like to see a TSH of 2 or above.
Okay.
And this is all in my book.
Wow.
And you can get tons of information from Dr. Ray Peat. But those are the major things I look at in the blood.
So what do you make of all this cholesterol, companies trying to get, or, doctors trying to tell people to get cholesterol down to the 120 and all of that kind of stuff?
They're trying to kill them. No, I'm teasing. I can't speak for someone's motive. I'm a chemist, and that's the language I speak, and you need cholesterol. It's the most abundant, or should be, steroid in the body. And the second most abundant is pregnenolone. But without thyroid function, you can't make pregnenolone or progesterone. So it's a very complex subject.
So you recommend also, going back a little bit further, fruit juices over the vegetable juices. And so
yeah, because there's no PUFAs in fruit juices.
There's no PUFAs. So the sugar shouldn't be a problem for people.
Nothing is a problem that you can digest. And I'll tell you a story. The candidiasis myth, okay? If a person, candida is rare. Most people tell me they have candida, but it's really, they just have rotten digestion. Yeah. But if you do have candida, which is a yeast, pathogenic yeast, there's 1,200. I don't know why that candida is the most popular one. But anyway, if you do have a fungal infection and you don't eat fruit, the fungi go into your blood looking for the fruit, and you die.
Wow, I never heard that one before.
Yep, that's a Ray Peat story.
So yeah,
and he says about 5 people die a year because they're on this horrible candida diet, which would make the healthiest person on earth sick, and if they do have yeast, they'll die. He says about 5 people a year die. Wow. I don't know where he got that number.
Wow, because sugar is so, as you know, vilified in many of the different communities and things like that.
Well, what they should vilify are commercial GMO'd foods. And who vilifies them? Pharma. Because without sick people, the drug industries would fail. So
I'm just trying to clear my head here from all of this stuff. So
take an enzyme.
There you go.
I have a clear head enzyme.
Oh man! So
I'm not kidding you. It's called ADR. It's an enzyme that has B complex in it and sucrase to digest sucrose. And it's for like moody, irritable, angry, attention deficit disorder, waking up at night, and stress.
Really? Wow.
Yes, and it's a very popular enzyme.
Wow, recently I've been waking up in the middle of the night, so maybe I should take that. It's called ADR? ADR?
Yeah, ADR. It means adrenal, but I call it brain.
Okay.
Because if you have sugar in your blood, then it'll go in the muscles, and your muscles won't be stiff, and it'll go in the brain, and you won't be foggy.
Okay. Well,
so it's for focus. I give it to kids who are taking Ritalin, which is a horrible drug for attention deficit disorder, which is nothing but low thyroid.
Golly. So those are the main two things that you work with: the pro-thyroid diet, hormone balancing, and enzymes.
Yep.
Wow. So
it's easy to pop a pill, but finding organic food is not easy. I know some people who can't even get fresh food. They have to get canned food. So that's because I have so many clients, in other countries.
Is there a problem, do you think, with some of the non-organic foods that, how there's that safe and naughty list where there's, some foods that have thicker skins that they say people can buy non-organic? I
don't believe that.
You don't believe that?
Nope.
Yeah.
If it's in the skin, it's in the plant.
Yeah, no matter how thick the skin is, right? I mean, it's...
Well, what do you mean by thick skin?
Well, some things like bananas or, avocados, they say are okay if they're not organic and things like that. I've never really,
some foods that aren't sprayed are healthier than others, but that's the only comment I'll make.
Yeah.
No, I would not eat a banana that didn't have spots and wasn't organic. A lot of people eat unripe fruits, and you need to convert the starch to sugar in order to be healthy.
You need to convert the starch to sugar. Okay, so that's basically saying it must be ripe at the time you eat it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, because bananas are very starchy, and if they're not ripe, and other fruits.
Well, all fruits are starchy if they're not ripe. Okay. But bananas, I always get organic, and I watch for the spots, freckles.
Wait for the freckles to come out.
Yep.
Wow. And so you also have your other book, the Radiation Protection Manual, and that's available on Amazon or on your website as well?
It's not. I have a few books left, but there on my website I have articles on radiation protection, which evolved from. It's 2 articles and an interview that it evolved from Fukushima. People freaked out. So I did a radio show, and I took all the good stuff out of my book, Radiation Protection Manual, and you can get those on my website.
So lots of things need to be done because that Fukushima is still affecting the West Coast here, and people don't know that, do they?
Well, they also don't know that we have 48 nuclear reactors, and all of them are leaking in this country. So the pro-thyroid diet is very protective of the immune system.
Are things like iodine and those sea vegetables that have a lot of iodine, are those good for the thyroid?
It's very easy to poison the thyroid gland with too much iodine, which is why I recommend a pinch of kelp a day, pinch of organic kelp a day, and that's it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, iodine is very toxic if you overdo it. You only need 150 micrograms a day, and I have people that are taking 400 milligrams a day, and they wonder why they can't get out of bed, and they have a big goiter.
Because they're doing that thing where they paint it on the skin and everything, and there's all kinds of ways to take the iodine.
Right, and I don't recommend it.
That's amazing, because I thought iodine was really good for the thyroid, but I guess it's good to a degree, and then once you get over that, it starts becoming toxic, right?
Well, see, the thyroid glandular contains iodine, contains T4 and T3. And taking a bunch of iodine is not going to improve it.
Gosh, so what are some of the other things that the thyroid affects? Because, I would imagine it would affect PMS issues for women, hair loss for men, and what are some? Well,
all hypothyroid women have female problems, no exception. I don't care if it's a miscarriage or a cyst on the ovaries or what. Migraines, estrogen migraines. Thyroid does affect everything. That's why you need to convert cholesterol, if you have it, into pregnenolone. It's through the thyroid. that happens.
So if somebody has some sort of symptom that's caused by a thyroid that's not working correctly, by fixing over time some of your, contacting you and doing your protocols, and the thyroid starts to work well after that, will their symptoms eventually go away if they have issues, like say with a fibroid or something like that? Will those
Of course they'll go away. Now, it depends on how big the fibroid is.
Okay.
But I've had people, women, rub progesterone in their uterus and that shrink the thyroid. Progesterone is an anti-tumor hormone.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the major female hormone, but men have it too. And I'll give a man progesterone if he has migraines or cancer, things like that. I'll give a man progesterone.
So does the progesterone, does it prevent, is there some sort of parts of testosterone that become estrogen and the progesterone prevents that from happening? Or am I completely wrong on that?
Not really. Pregnenolone and thyroid balance the male prostate. So that you can balance your testosterone by taking thyroid and pregnenolone.
Okay, so for men it's important as well, because my wife does I think she does the pregnenolone cream, but it's important for men as well. If
wait a minute, are you talking about progesterone or pregnenolone?
I'm sorry, progesterone. Yeah.
Okay, where does she get the cream?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure where she gets it, but yeah.
Well, see, the cream is only 10% absorbed. I think now produces a cream, but they usually have toxic excipients in them.
Okay.
So I recommend Dr. Pete's progesterone.
Okay.
And I have a cream recipe, a lotion recipe. I use coconut oil, vitamin D3, and progesterone. And you can rub it on your skin and you won't get wrinkles or age spots.
Wow. Okay, we have to cut out for Natural News Radio. Thank you to Mike Adams for having us on his network. Okay, so I want to talk about that cream. So you said it's coconut oil, vitamin D3, and what was the...
Progesterone.
Progesterone, right. Okay.
Yeah, and I make it in a 2-ounce bottle. I don't sell it.
Okay.
People have to make their own.
Making them do all the work.
Yes. If they're too lazy to make it, they just deserve wrinkles and age spots.
Wow. So do you put this on your skin every night, or do you do it a couple times a day, or how does that work?
I put it on when I get up in the morning.
Okay.
Too lazy to do it twice a day. But I don't have wrinkles or age spots.
Wow. And how long
I don't wear glasses.
Oh, man. How long have you been doing the cream?
Oh, gosh, years.
Wow. And so could someone buy those three? I guess they can get coconut oil anywhere, and they get your the vitamin D3 and the progesterone?
They get D3 from me, but I only provide the hormones to my clients who do the urine test.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They can't just call me up and say, send me some progesterone or thyroid or whatever, pregnenolone.
Okay. So they could call you up, do the urine test, and become one of your clients, and then they could...
Absolutely.
Wow. And so how does that prevent the wrinkles on the skin? Does it has something to do with maybe the hormones or on the skin?
Coconut oil is just really, really good for the skin. Progesterone prevents the aging of skin by preventing it from becoming thin. It prevents the thinning out of the skin. And it's like... Take the vaginal tissues. A lot of doctors prescribe estrogen cream, and that's what causes the dryness, vaginal dryness. Progesterone prevents and cures that. So this is very important for women. And progesterone is 100% absorbed orally, 10% transdermally, and it's also absorbed in the rectum, but most people just eat it and rub it on their skin.
Okay, and that was one of the things that you mentioned that would be good for men if they have, like you said, migraines and cancer. Is that what you said?
Yes, okay. Yes.
Now,
and I do give it to men for that.
Could a man take that doesn't have those issues?
Well...
Or would that not be good?
I don't know what the threshold is, but I know that if a man has cancer or migraines, that he's hormonally imbalanced. I usually don't give progesterone to men without those problems, because... if you take thyroid and pregnenolone really balances the male hormones.
Wow. And so a lot of the other issues that people have with their hormones are, like plastics and all of those estrogens that we're getting, those are all bad too, are they not?
What?
Like the plastics people use and all of those things, aren't those xenoestrogens as well?
Do you mean a plastic jug?
Yeah, I guess all the plastic that we're exposed to, I've been hearing lately that, there's xenoestrogens and they're bad for the hormones and for both men and women.
Well, there's endocrine disruptors, and anything that interrupts the endocrine system is a xenoestrogen, but I don't buy anything in plastic.
Oh, okay. So you do
if I get carbonated water, I only get glass.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Plastics are ruining the ocean and killing the marine life. It's really sad. Mm-hmm. People buy those, plastic water bottles and then they dump them. Mm-hmm. And it's just really sad to me to know that our oceans are being destroyed and the marine life killed because these plastics degrade, the fish eat them, and then they die.
Yeah, it's really a bad thing. Golly.
Yep.
Ay. So, so a good place to start would be to contact you and to find out about your work and become a client, and that would be a good thing. Yeah,
anybody can email me and get the ProThyroid diet free.
Okay.
So email is the best. I don't return phone calls because I'm on my computer all day talking to people and, sending emails.
Yeah. Wow. So what kinds of things, are you working on any new projects or books or anything in the future that you're kind of working on now, or are you just kind of seeing patients and working through all of that, or?
Well, actually, I do another form of therapy, but it would take me too long to explain it to you, but it's called dual pair biomagnetic therapy. It was developed by a Mexican MD from the University of Chapinga in Mexico City, mm-hmm. and I do that a lot. And it's an amazing therapy because it involves neutralizing the pH of the internal organs, and there's no pathogen that can exist at a neutral pH. And Dr. Glaze has identified over 400 pathogens, and he's identified them through blood chemistries too. So I do that a lot, and that's really fun.
So do people, if they wanted to contact you, if they were interested in having you work with them using that, can people do that?
Sure, okay. But they have to come here. I can't scan a person remotely.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they would come to where you are and...
Right. Well, I could with a surrogate, but I don't have a surrogate.
What does that mean, a surrogate for this?
A surrogate is someone that stands in for you.
But for this, how would a surrogate work? I guess it doesn't matter anyway because you can't do it. But
it's called standing in. I pretend that person is the person I'm trying to help.
Oh, I see.
Like I was in California, my son got some type of poisoning, and so I had a roommate, so I used her as a surrogate and put the magnets on her, and he got well.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
you can do this remotely. It's amazing. I had a woman who her father had Alzheimer's, and he was getting mean and starting to punch her. Uh-huh. So I put the magnets on. You can put it on a piece of paper or a doll or whatever. And she wrote me the next day, "Oh my gosh, it worked." He came out talking and smiling for the first time.
Wow!
And it was permanent.
So what other kinds of things would this therapy work for? I guess it would work for everything.
Any kind of, there's a pathogen that I just copied a paper that was written that it's the first one I've ever read saying that all health problems have pathogens associated with them. But Dr. Glaze's method of biomagnetic therapy is the only method that I know of that can get rid of those pathogens and identify them. It's amazing. And it only takes me 1.5 to 2 hours to scan a person. And there's like 400 pathogens. And I mean, it's a very complicated subject. If somebody, well, you can there's a link to Dr. Glaze. Quite a few links, actually.
Is that on?
It's fascinating therapy, huh?
I bet. So is that on your website, the link to that doctor?
No, I don't advertise it because, do you know what? I mean, pharma's already sued me once. They don't like people to delete the need for drugs.
Yeah.
So I do not advertise.
Right. That makes sense.
But actually, you only need one client.
Right.
And then they line up at the door.
That is so great. Well, thank you, Dr. Lita Lee, for being on our show today. We really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. Would you mind holding on as I close out the show?
Sure.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on today's show. What a great show that was. I'm sure that you have a lot of questions and things you're thinking about after that show, and I thought it was really quite amazing. So if you found value in this show, could I ask you a favor, and perhaps you could like this show on Facebook. This is extremehealthradio.com/36, and follow us on Facebook as well. That would help us to get the word out and promote our show. So that would be great. And also, we have a store on our website with lots of great products on there, like rebounders and blenders and all kinds of great stuff. So visit our store for some great products. And thank you to Mike Adams of Natural News for having us on his website. And also, we are 100% listener supported. So if you would like to donate to help keep this show free, we would be so grateful for that. So consider doing that if you can. If you can't, not a big deal. Just learn as much as you can and enjoy